Good evening. Thank you for joining us for our October 17th board meeting. Before we begin, I'd like to do two things, if you don't mind. One is to wish my dad a happy birthday, who was Saturday, and his twin brother, right? Yeah. Uncle Dan. So, and the other one is, if you don't mind, before we get started, is I invite you to participate if you wish.
Father, we're grateful for your provision, for your hand watching over the school corporation. Pray for our students and our faculty as they come back to school after a nice break. Thank you for the fall season and the color of the leaves to demonstrate your presence. In Christ's name, amen.
All right, we will start with recognition of individual student growth.
We start our meetings with the best part, and that is our student and staff recognitions. And we'd first of all like to recognize several Central 9 students who were students of the month. We have Noah Slinker in construction trades, Logan Chazar in EMS, Molly McGinnis, Health Science 3 medical assistant, and Jacob Skirvin for precision machining.
Can I get a picture? Can I get a picture? Come on up. You get to introduce your mom and dad. So go ahead and introduce your mom and dad. Talk about your program just a little bit. What do you do in your studies at C9?
Okay, my parents are over there, Jim and Michelle McGinnis. At C9, we just learned vitals, and we're doing injections on one another, which is kind of scary.
Oh.
I got to do my teacher.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Is it good to inflict pain on your teacher?
No, but she survived.
That's good. And what do you hope to do after C9?
I'm going to go to Brightwood College, and I'm going to pursue the medical assisting stuff and finish it up after May. I guess it's only 4 months, so now I'll be in a doctor's office.
All right, well, congratulations. That's awesome. Congratulations on your award.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll get a picture. Congratulations.
Next, we'd like to recognize Caleb Wertz. Caleb has been recognized by the National Merit Scholarship Program for being a commended student. Caleb was chosen for this honor for his outstanding academic performance on the qualifying test used for program entry.
Caleb, talk a little bit about your future plans.
I'm Caleb. And I'm not sure where I'm going to go yet, but my plan is to go to college to study musical theater.
And who did you bring tonight?
I have my mom and my grandparents and my wonderful father.
Very good answer. That's good. You made the neighborhood proud.
Good.
Yeah. All right, let's get a picture here. And one more question. If you had your top choice to go to any college, where are you headed?
University of Michigan or Carnegie Mellon.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Then lastly, tonight, we'd like to recognize the Franklin Community Soccer Association. So if you guys would come forward, please. The Franklin Community Soccer Association supplied the labor and donations for a concession stand for the high school soccer complex. It's awesome out there if you haven't been out to see it. So we will let them introduce themselves.
Hey, we'll start with you to introduce yourself and tell what role you have with the association.
Dave. Is this on? Yep. Sorry. Dave Young. I'm the girls' varsity soccer coach. I'm also the vice president of the board.
Shannon Cox, I'm the treasurer. I'm the other Shannon Winsell, and I've been. My dad is one of the ones who worked on the concession stand, and it's really mainly because he can't say no to me. Now I'm on PR.
Tony Harris, boys coach, and the other vice president.
And I'm Rayanne Moore, and I'm the president of the board, and my husband, David Moore, along with Shannon's dad, Steve Baker, did most of the construction and coordinated with everybody. So thank you very much.
Thank you for all you do to help support
Thank you.
That's it. All right, this is a good time to exit if you wish. We are going to continue our board meeting, but you're all welcome to stay and talk about our financials and other taxes and other really interesting topics. So, see ya.
Tony jumped over to the other side of his hat.
All right. Now is a time for public comments on the agenda. If there's anybody with public comments, I ask you to come up, state your name, and limit your comments to 2 minutes.
Mr. Wertz, one thing I'd like to, when we get down to the consent agenda with regard to school wires, although it's not a formal presentation, we do have a couple of things we'd like to talk about in terms of that, because we are going to see some additional changes to our program. So Christy's going to talk about in communication, and then Matt's going to come up and kind of fill in kind of the infrastructure side, behind the scenes side. So that will be coming up under the School Wires Blackboard Connect piece.
And then I'll also share right before the consent agenda, the survey from the calendar survey results, and the 2 calendars are on the consent agenda as well.
All right, thank you. Any other comments? Board? Questions? Very well. For a motion?
No, we did music council.
Ah,
I do have a couple things on music
Sorry.
council. It's okay. Music council, we did meet as a small group. Mrs. Wooldridge chaired that. Mr. Ahouse was present, as well as Mr. Kosh, Mr. Hummel, to delineate kind of the new journey of the music council as far as looking at who's going to sit there, and then how it's going to then translate back into the classroom in terms of PLC time, et cetera. We have our first meeting coming up November the 14th. So next board meeting we'll have that. So that's in addition to what we normally would do inside of music council.
I would make note that the marching band and color guard is competing this weekend. It's state finals, and then the Little Mermaid for the choir department is November 3rd through the 6th.
And the band show is quite good this year.
Athletic council?
We have not been.
Very well. Legislative council?
The only thing on that, we did get to hear from both governor candidates
Right.
the other day at the ISBA fall conference. I think a couple things you're going to see, the whole conversation about vouchers, we kind of put on hold. I don't think anybody really has appetite to see that move forward much further. And it does have an impact, obviously, on public education. Governor candidate Greg mentioned having everybody around the table and having conversations. Eric Holcomb was a little bit more structured in his speech, and wants to continue the conversation, but also it would kind of be similar to what was going on. So we'll see what happens. I think no matter who wins the election on that side, public education is going to probably not see a lot of changes in new laws or anything like that. We're going to continue to move forward.
Thank you. Superintendent Strategic Task Force.
We're going to have our first meeting coming up the first or second week in November. We are looking at that certificated area inside our new goals to help with that journey. Workforce Development just came out with a new grant on certification areas. So we'll look at that, and they're going to help shepherd that in. I'm going to ask each principal to submit 3 names of families. I talked to Dylan today because he was my first principal to meet, but we'll have representatives from all schools, and anybody's welcome. That's going to be our journey this year for Superintendent's Task Force, and we're going to meet probably the second week of November.
Very good. Communications Committee.
As Dr. Clendening said, we met and we discussed a new school website, and I was going to have Mr. Sprout give a little spiel right now. Is that okay? To let him fill you guys in on, it's going to be quite a bit different, I think, than what we have. It'll be much better.
Good.
I do enjoy talking about technology, so I appreciate that opportunity.
Much more than I do.
One of the aspects that we have, and we're going to take advantage of, is a combination of 2 companies we already work with, SchoolWires and Blackboard Connect. Blackboard Connect is our phone system. So when you get a call on a closing, that is Blackboard Connect, and SchoolWires is the company that hosts our website. These 2 companies have merged together, and we stand to benefit from it in a number of ways. First of all is communication. When school's closed, unfortunately that happens in cold weather or snow, we're able to go to that one website and control the communication, be able to post it online, be able to make the mass communication call and update our website and all school websites from one extensive point. The next component of the new site is it's mobile friendly. If you've ever tried to open our website on a mobile device, call it a tablet, call it a phone, you're zooming in, you're zooming out. The new website framework is adaptive, so it knows the size of your screen and can adapt the website appropriately. On top of that, we also get the mobile app at the, well, I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag here, at the same cost. I like to negotiate too. The mobile app comes and will also do push notifications. So not only is the website adaptive, but when there's notifications from the school of events or closings or such, the mobile app will populate that also. Talking about mobility, it also manages our social media accounts. So we have a Twitter account, we have a Facebook account for the district. As you push out, all the way down to the classrooms, we have social media accounts. But we can integrate all of these into one component and be able to populate broadcasts from within this website. Last of all, and most importantly, is cost. And what is this feature set cost? We did negotiate, our annual cost will not go up. To move into this integrated website, there is a cost. We can choose from a template so that our website will look like other schools, and that runs $4,500. As the communication committee kind of spoke about it, we decided to go with the other option of coming up with a creative site, a custom site for our district so that we can stand out, and that runs $11,000. That's an initial cost, not a renewal cost. The advantage of that is our website has lasted about 5 or 6 years. So if we get one family to move here with one student, that's $5,000 a year that we pull back. So the return on investment is quite high, and it focuses on our collaboration and communication with our community. So we're excited about this next step.
Very good. Thank you. I do have a couple questions. If you don't
Sure.
mind. How will you, if you will, kind of gather requirements, or how will you get the information to be able to customize the website to optimize usage?
Are you talking about collaborating with the company itself?
Yeah, well, like for example, you said we want to design it custom for ourselves.
Sure.
Will there be a cross section of administrators or
There is.
public, or how?
We've got administrators, we've got teachers, we've got central office, and in addition to the parent hat. It'll be a great opportunity because we've already picked out websites that we want to replicate, creating that communication. So we're going to hand it off to them and let them go with what we're wanting to design. In the cost for the $11,000, we also have participants. So it's just not the IT budget, but the Performing Arts Center is also going to contribute to that, as well as the athletic site, because both of them will have a distinct site within our framework.
And the exciting part of that, of the custom thing, is that you can put videos. So like the Performing Arts Center will be able to show videos, and so will the athletic side, and then you'll be able to click on the stories, correct? Like if you see the video, you'll be able to click and it will drop down and tell you the story of what's going on in that picture, where now we just have scrolling pictures and you have no idea what anybody's doing or why they're there. So I think it was kind of neat.
Okay, what kind of time frames?
One more thing on that, Mr. Wirtz, we're going to use the communication committee as the
Okay.
collecting group on the final say of this is thumbs up or thumbs down. So Christy will represent the board. Obviously, you'll bring it back to you for that conversation.
Timeframe, I can't wait. The sooner the better.
Okay.
As you might expect, we're looking at about 3 or 4 months. I would probably suggest that might be a little short, but that's what we're told. So we're excited about the opportunity. I would definitely say it by the beginning of next school year.
Okay.
Not the end of this school year.
One thing we're also pondering is right now we provide some in-kind service to the Education Foundation, as well as a small monetary gift. Looking at having them come under, and that would be one of our in-kind, that they would have a part of the site. And right now they're paying, I don't know, several thousand. So it would be a cost savings and also a lot easier because Robin sits on the foundation as well as you know, she's our PR person. So we'd have more of a seamless structure. So Matt reached out to School Wires today to make sure we could have a couple extra sites at no cost, and that'll be one of the things we're looking at.
Very good. Now, will this be for, I could probably ask another question, sorry.
Sure,
But
go ahead.
Will this be integrated at all with like Power School and other things? Or?
What a great, I appreciate the lead in.
Okay.
It does. It integrates directly with Power School. It'll actually pull the data from Power School right now. If you want the grades out of Power School, you have to log into Power School, or you have to log into our website. The mobile app has a direct integration with Power School. So we're looking forward to that opportunity also.
Sounds nice. Thank you. Anything else? Thank you. Mr. Sprout. Collective bargaining, I don't have an update.
Nope.
We have not met. Central 9.
I didn't get there this week, but did you have final attendance numbers?
I did not. We did get our final Form 30. We're up about $55,000, I think it is.
That's correct.
The other thing with C9, we're working with the high school. We received incentive dollars of about $7,200, $7,600 that will look towards integration of STEM initiatives, et cetera. Maybe dual credit, but I did not hear final numbers, but we are up.
Yeah, I should have those by the next meeting, a slide that will show the history.
And then I think Darren did say, as we transition, he can head that way as well.
Okay.
Plan to
Okay.
start in November.
Okay.
Nicole's doing, the new director is doing a very nice job of keeping everybody in the loop on communication.
I'd like to get to the December meeting since they'll be the last.
Very good. Thank you. RDC, I don't have an update unless you know.
No update.
All right, no update. So now, consent agenda. Any additional comments?
I do have a C, Roman numeral 1, resigned today. Webb Elementary teacher Brandy Personnel is going to stay at home. And so we're accepting her resignation at this time. We will post the position as a temporary position, looking to hold a spot for one of our instructional coaches. So Cheryl has been in communication with the HR department. We'll post that first thing tomorrow, I believe, is the conversation, or if it got posted today. Did it get posted today? So, yep. So please accept that addendum. You did not get that because we just received it this afternoon, early this midday. Calendars.
Yep, I just wanted to highlight the survey results that are posted there. Basically, 80%, we had over 1,900 respondents to the survey, which I thought was very impressive and I was pleased with. But basically, 80% of our constituents wanted to keep our calendar pretty much the same. And we ask at the bottom, what was important to them, and that didn't play out all there, but it's 1 week at fall break, 2 weeks at fall break, 1 week at spring break, 2 weeks at spring break. Then we have a Thanksgiving break, and then ending before finals. So an effort to please most people, because it's impossible to please everyone. The committee pretty much kept it the same as last year. We did move fall break back a week, which is where we originally had it. We moved it up. The reason it was so early was we wanted to coincide with C9 fall break, but this year C9 is letting all the schools create their schedules first, and then is going to create theirs after that. So in talking with Nicole, I'm pretty sure they're going to hit where we landed as well. So that is pretty much the only change.
Very good. Seems compelling. Anything else on the consent agenda?
At this time.
Move for approval.
Thank you. There's been a motion for approval. Are there any other questions or comments? All those in favor signify by the sign of aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. All right, superintendent reports to demographic study.
Thank you, Ms. Fritz. We're pleased to have Dr. Brudvig with us, professor of economics at Indiana University in Richmond. And so she's going to share a little bit about our journey and where we've been and what we're going to maybe look like in the future. So welcome to Franklin Schools.
Thank you very much for having me. Let's make sure I can get set up here. Okay, I believe you have the report itself. My goal today is basically to give you a top line, some of the most important things that I think that you should know. Just a little bit of background. I've been doing this work for about 25 years, which is almost hard to imagine, but I have. And I initially started working with the Indiana Business Research Center with IU at the Kelley School of Business. And I worked in a lot of communities, mostly metropolitan Indianapolis. So kind of the donut counties, if you want to think about it that way. And I've developed a methodology over time that's really targeted to those areas. I've been working with Clark Pleasant since about 2001 and Center Grove since about 2005. So I'm very familiar with the area, and I've lived in the area for a long time. Some of the top line things for you to know. This forecast is for 10 years. So basically from today to the school year 26-27. Your enrollment has been growing, but it's been pretty steady the last 10 years. Moving forward, we can expect that pattern to be about the same slow and steady growth, and I think that's the best way to characterize it. Fairly stable, but some growth. The two main factors that tend to impact enrollment are births and residential construction. So some takeaways to know is that the number of births in this county actually reached a peak in 2007, and I'll show you that. And that's moms who live in the county who are residents. However, the share of those births that actually end up in the schools has been declining over time. So it's like two patterns that kind of diverge. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind, and I'll share this with you, is there's been a boom and a bust in residential construction. Okay? And this has impacted a lot of counties, Hendricks County, Johnson County, Hamilton County. But I have some figures to share with you. We had a boom a little over 10 years ago, and we had the bust about 2008, 2009. And that definitely impacts enrollment. So those are two things that I've included in the forecast. However, and I almost dare say this, but it's so true. There's no one right number. Okay? It's not possible to know the exact number. But I've developed some assumptions that I believe are reasonable assumptions, as well as a range of scenarios. And I believe that would also help for planning and thinking moving forward. And then in a year or two, you can ask yourself, okay, what path are we really on? And so in a sense, it becomes a living document that you can use moving forward. So here's your nutshell of enrollment of the past 10 years. Total enrollment, K through 12, at about 4,900. a little over 5,100 5 years ago, and then today, just shy of 5,100 students, and that's total students in the school district. Here's that number I mentioned about the births, and we saw this peak in the births, and that was 2007. It's Johnson County births. And the reason I want to point that out is those children who were born in 2007, they're your third graders today. Okay? And actually, in your own numbers, you have a little bit of a bubble around third grade. And by 2026, those students will be graduating and probably be your largest graduating class as that bubble moves through. Okay? But what we'd expect countywide is these numbers are kind of falling off a little bit. They actually track very well to the housing boom. And we would expect countywide the numbers to increase. This follows statewide patterns as well as national patterns. Now, I mentioned there was this diverging trend, and here that is. This is your school years down here along the bottom. And up here are the percentage of children actually enrolled that were born 6 and 7 years previous. Okay, so in the 05-06 school year, about 25% of births in this county were actually in your schools. Now it's under 20%. And the dashed dotted line is, if we take a straight line and kind of go through that, it's a declining pattern. So the question is, will that continue or not? I would expect it actually to kind of loop a little bit and level out, and that's what's in the forecast. But that's kind of these things that we'd have to make assumptions about. And here's the picture of residential construction. This is a single family construction. It is a 16-year time frame, so basically back to the start of the century. And you can see the early part of the century, we basically had a boom, countywide. Okay, so the top numbers are the countywide numbers. Franklin City is the blue bar at the very bottom. There's Greenwood in there. There's other incorporated areas that I've collapsed together. Whiteland would be one of those, as well as areas that are unincorporated. And some of that would be within your school district as well. So we have this boom and bust cycle that has occurred in Johnson County. And specifically what's happened here within your 3 township area is in the next table. Okay? So in the last 5 years, about 2,500 new housing units were built. Let me back up. 250 housing units were built. 5 years before that, so 2005 to 2009, slightly over 700, but that was half of what was being built in the years previous. And if you look at your even historic, going back even farther, you'll see tremendous gains in enrollment during that time frame that's teed up to residential construction. So we take a variety of assumptions and we ask ourselves, at least I ask myself, what can we reasonably expect moving forward? Okay, so we have the numbers for the births. We're expecting that decline. And then we're asking ourselves, okay, what about housing? What's going to happen with residential construction? Because that is tied to enrollment change. So essentially what I've assumed is moving forward, you'd basically be doing a little like a slow U, just like coming definitely out of the low, the bottom of the market, but certainly not returning back to the heyday of the boom. Okay? There's other things that I would say are not somewhat unknown, but aren't included specifically, and specifically for some reasons. One is transfer students. What I've assumed is that would remain stable. It could go, if more transfer students would increase enrollment, fewer transfer students would make enrollment decline, but that is one thing I've assumed it would remain stable. Another thing I've assumed that many might ask about is home sales, all right? And I've looked at home sales in Johnson County, and one thing that we know is it's not really a good predictor of enrollment. Actually, the data is very noisy, it's kind of messy. It's residential construction that really matters. Okay. So moving forward, what might we expect for total enrollment? Again, you're at about 5,100 students today. in about 5 years, about 5,100 students, and then 10 years anticipating slightly over 5,200 students. Okay, so slow, steady, stable growth. Now that number, I want that number to be right, and I believe it's the best estimate forecast that we can have, but there's things that could push that number up and down, and I think it's important to highlight those. One would be more births than expected. Another would be more residential construction. Okay, and so essentially the ranges that I've built for you, which is a high and a low, make use of those assumptions. So if we say, what if? Okay, so this is this next chart. What if? What if home building remains as it is today? That's the low forecast. Okay, so basically, if there's no more home building than what you're currently experiencing, your enrollments would actually decline, assuming no change in transfer students. What if? What if we saw a 50% increase on what we're experiencing today and a 50% increase on what we might expect in the future? Your enrollments could be as high as 5,000 students in 10 years. So how I would encourage you to think about the forecast is those ranges and how you might use them for planning. And then also, are you on that trajectory in 2 years? Where are we? Are we at the high? Are we at the low? Somewhere in between? And the goal would be you would be somewhere in between and hopefully tracking as close to the base as possible. Within the report itself, there's quite a bit of detail. And I just wanted to highlight, here's basically your grade groupings in some of your buildings. And definitely there's data by grade level as well. So I know that's a quick snapshot, but I'd be happy to answer a question if you have one.
Well, great information. May take a little bit to digest.
Exactly, and it's probably going to take a while to digest. My hope is that basically you refer to it and basically become yours and inform your thinking and your planning. That'd be my goal and my hope.
It's nice to have some look historical perspective and forecasting. To your point, it's as good as some of the assumptions, but at least we can get grounded in some of the data that when we start making some decisions, it'll at least give us a little bit more confidence it's data back. So I certainly appreciate it. I probably will have to take some time to digest this personally, but I want to speak to the other people.
Obviously, the big area is Bargersville. When we get to 144 and the water starts flowing down, into Union Township, what's going to happen? If we look to our neighbors to north, they have a lot of housing because of that, and they have a lot of growth. So without that, we're not going to really be able to. You're not going to see a lot of change. WinStar has a few spots. Heritage is opening up a few spots now, but there's still not a lot of development that's going to cause significant changes.
Very good. Any questions?
I think my question really is more for Jeff in terms of Jeff, assuming that you have a fairly flat model and I don't remember the date of which our worst year from a tax cap is.
It was last year.
Last year.
Yeah.
So we get a little bit better each year. And if we have flat enrollment from a debt structure perspective, our cash perspective gets a little bit better each year. So if you take in the worst case scenario and you apply that to your model, are we still in okay shape from that perspective?
Well, and I included this in Friday notes for all of you, but we've done a 12-year pro forma, which really takes us from today to the time that we get out of circuit breaker
Purgatory.
Select my words carefully. Misery.
We've averaged over the last 10 years about 2.27% growth in general fund dollars, as an example. But realistically, when you grow 7 kids, which is what we did this year, at $5,600, I'm not real smart, but I can do the math. And that's what we've been in for the last 10 years. We've grown 77 kids in 11 years now. And so we're maintaining based on the state continuing to increase dollars. If that happens, that 12-year pro forma projects that out. There are some fairly lean years potentially if we're not staying on top of where we're at. I will tell you, and when you see the 12-year pro forma, interestingly enough, and I've said this about 1,000 times, so you're probably sick of hearing me say it, but I'll say it one more time. Greenwood, Mooresville, Martinsville, they're not in this situation. If we took out the amount of money we're taking from general fund just to pay people and operate our business, in 10 years, actually in 12 years, our general fund operating balance would be 44%, which we struggle right now to keep it at 9%. We would have more money, you know what to do with, but we don't, because $17 million leaves us in the form of mortgage payments. So we have a full look at that, and certainly this information is very good and really is consistent with kind of what we've been seeing, and I think Dr. Budwig's validated kind of where we've been going.
Yeah, that was the key word you just said. I was going to say it validates really our working assumption that we've been going off of. So very good.
I think what we're going to need to see continued growth is in the assessed value of our community. We need to that's where we're going to get circuit breaker relief. Without AV rising, you see we're not going to get a lot of dollars in enrollment. But if we get home starts and we do things, that's going to also be a very positive thing because AV is going to go up. You know, 80 went up again this year, so the last 4 years we're up, you know, into double digits in assessed valuation, which has helped us in circuit breakers. So those two concepts, we have 10 years of a journey, but we're on a pretty good place, and we know what to do to keep that.
Do we know? I mean, if I look at this again, I haven't dove into this, so I'll probably have a lot of questions. But if you think about, I was just surprised by the impact of the birth of enrollments. If you think about it, 81% of the births in Johnson County don't attend. Is that right?
They are in other school districts.
Or in other school districts. Is that what you see in other counties? I mean, it sounds, I mean, I can look at this.
No, they're at, so, let me make sure I got this. So that where are the other 73%? They're in Greenwood, Clark Pleasant, Center Grove.
Is that disproportionate than what you see in other school districts?
No.
Okay.
You know, and it largely would depend on the number of school districts within a county and how that needs to be, that pie is split up too. Yeah, I was not surprised by this.
That's why I'm asking the question.
Also, things have stabilized quite a bit in Clark Pleasant, but are now picking up in Center Grove because they're now kind of switching roles where a lot of the growth previously was in was in Clark Pleasant. Now it's shifting back to Center Grove. But they have the same situation of building within existing subdivisions, filling out infill building probably well before there'll be new development as well. And they are a little closer to I-69, and that's still unknown, even though they are closer to it.
Is this particular data set a record of births that were in Johnson County or births that were attributed to Johnson County homes?
These are Johnson County moms. So they could
So
have
they
their
live in
baby
Johnson County?
here. They live here.
So they could be going to St. Francis.
Correct.
et
And they could
cetera.
also be out of state. This is all
Okay.
data that's collected through a consortium at the Indiana State Department of Health.
I have a question. I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask it on page 11, residential construction. You say more building has occurred in Center Township. You mean which one are we talking about here?
I probably misspoke. I really mean Franklin City.
Franklin City or Franklin Township?
Franklin City.
Franklin City.
Yeah. And I was thinking center.
You mean Marion County?
I was thinking Marion.
Yeah.
So Jeff, where I was going with this, so assuming we have relatively flat growth, we might get some upside with AV. So the impact on our facilities, it'll be regionalized, and we may have to shuffle at times where students may go. I'm not saying that we would, but assuming we stay on our current trajectory of maintaining our facilities in the high state that we do, with the periodic geo bonds to then you've got that built into your model with those periodic geo bonds every whatever we talked about. It was either 2 or 4 years. I don't recall now, but that's built into your model, and we're still looking with this particular data. We're still looking like we're in okay shape.
Yeah, that's in the 12-year performance that I was referencing. That's really general fund in nature. However, in conversation, especially with Bill Doty, the geo bond route is really about the only route for us. And we manage, as Dr. Clendenning suggested, we managed to offset that with increased AV. And that's so incredibly valuable to us right now. And we have gone up significantly. The increase that we've received this year in AV is either the third or fourth highest increase in the last 15 years. And we've been trending that direction. And so you may recall by law, we cannot even look to do another geo bond until 2019 due to the protected taxes. But I would anticipate that we'll need to continue to do that. We're in pretty good shape right now facility-wise. But that shouldn't impact where we're headed financially. I think we're in pretty good shape there. The key is the increase in AV requires fewer dollars, hopefully from us, from general fund, in order to be able to support the mortgage. And if that happens, then our financial picture just continues to get better from where I've projected it. But we shall see. There's a lot of variables in there that we've looked at and a lot of assumptions that I've done. And I think we're going to go through that in the not too distant future.
So the influx of commercial development is certainly helped driving that AV.
Absolutely.
So clearly, Dr. Clendenning, your relationship to continue with the mayor and the hospital and the college is crucial to helping sustain and help drive that AV number to continue to grow.
Correct. The other thing I would add is we need home starts also to be in that 250 and above range. That's going to be the ones going to really impact us in a positive nature. You know, if we have starter homes and some of those things, you're going to see a little bit of a bump, but long term, it's going to have more of a negative impact. So, like Mr. Grimmer's property, I think Mr. Huddleston has one right on on 44. There's a projected new property out there. Those are the type of things that we need to see continue to come in and participate in the conversation with our city and county officials.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you very much. Very helpful.
It's been a pleasure working with you. We'll look forward to continuing the conversation to see how it looks. Thank you.
Thank you much. All right, Community Outreach Coordinator, Mrs. Spurlock.
Was it probably a little over a year ago, Mrs. Sperling was here last to give us an update on her work with our homeless population. So we thought tonight, especially in the consent agenda, we approved the new McKinney-Vento grants. So we thought it would be a good time to have her come back and share what she's done since her last visit.
I need to excuse me. Something's wrong with my throat. I apologize. Do I need to download this?
No, it should just scroll.
Just scroll? Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure. Okay. Well, thank you very much for having me here tonight. I'm excited to report some fun news from 2015-2016 school year. For those of you who may not know what I do in the mighty little brown trailer behind the Franklin Middle School, there's lots of fun stuff going on in that trailer. But some of you may have heard of the McKinney-Vento Liaison. That is another title that I am referred to as. The school has me identified as the Community Outreach Coordinator. But my purpose for my position is to create awareness for at-risk and homeless students in the school corporation. And it's to advocate for them and give them a voice to make sure that they are aware of the laws and the resources available to them. The biggest thing is also to ensure that the resources that I provide to these kiddos is the same as a house student. So we want to make sure that I ensure that these kiddos are being taken care of in like a wraparound kind of way, so that if there is the ability for them to, a homeless student needs football equipment to play football, and that's a barrier for them to, in order to reach that success, that's something that I can step in, and my funds through the Indiana Department of Education can help pay for something like that. Another huge aspect of what I'm doing is I build collaboration within the community for everything that I'm trying to accomplish. My grant through the Indiana Department of Education allows me to do and provide certain resources that I'll talk about in a few minutes, but there are certain things that I cannot provide, like utility assistance and housing assistance, things of that nature. So when that happens, which it happens a lot, then I have to depend on the community and me collaborating and creating these partnerships so that we can work together to help pay for someone's rent to avoid eviction, or help pay for a utility bill to make sure that the lights are on so that this kiddo can do his homework while he's at home. So that is a huge aspect of something what I do. This is just a really quick snapshot of the type of assistance that I provide. So everything under housing assistance, again, this is the collaboration. So I'm working with landlords, I'm working with other agencies in order to get bills paid. Employment assistance, that is something that I can do personally. So I do sit down with individuals who are interested, and not everybody is as interested as I would like for them to be. But we will sit down and we will do job searches. I will help with individuals completing applications, resume building. There are clinics in the community, but a lot of times when you make that relationship with someone and they come in and there's a student in the school corporation, they don't really want to go outside. They just want to continue to work with you on some of those things. So I'm able to provide them. Transportation assistance is huge in the sense that I won't go in a lot of details because there's a lot of laws in regards to this, but bottom line, I can help families who, let's say for instance, somebody moves to Franklin Community School Corporation and they become in a homeless situation. And once that happens, let's say mom is forced to move in with a friend that lives in the Center Grove area because that is the only means necessary that she has to keep a roof over her family's head. Once that happens, that's where the McKinney-Vento law steps in. And through that, we are able to provide transportation in order to create consistency in that child's life. So what we can do is we can provide transportation. We'll go in the Center Grove school area and we'll bus them into Franklin to keep them there to make sure that there's not a disruption in their education. So that's a huge aspect of what I do and coordinate that. In regards to resources, I provide a lot of resources. I have emergency food on hand, clothing. One of the things that I'm excited about is graduation apparel. You'll see in a future slide, I'm able to help 6 seniors with their graduation apparel. So that made me cry and my heart smile, just to take that burden off of a student that has worked so hard to accomplish something. And what a minute thing to be able to take care of, but it made a difference in their life. Hygiene supplies, identification, you have to have identification for jobs and applying for certain things, certain government assistance, so that's big. And then one of my favorite aspects is membership fees. This is the fun part where I get to help kiddos directly with Cub Academy. So if there's any issues there with membership, I can cover that. Cub Care, Camp Invention, that is a huge STEM program that is during the summer. It's a week long and kids get to do all kinds of fascinating things, and it's kind of pricey. So it's like $300 almost a pop for a week. And I was able to provide, I think, 27 children with access to Camp Invention this summer. So that was big fun for me. Boys and Girls Club is another huge thing. Before and after school care, it's very similar to what we provide, but again, just offers another ability to get kids in a program. If ours is full, then we have another option over there. So that's pretty cool. Please stop me. Sometimes when I get nervous, I talk really fast. So if I do that, just, let me know. These are links down here, and I won't go into that right now. I am going to share this PowerPoint with the school corporation, but these just take them to the Cub Connect brochure, which is what I use to communicate my program in the community. Cub Pantry is free that I started at the Franklin Community Middle School. And so it talks about, this is like something they can hang on the refrigerator. And then the Cub Pantry information, that's just, again, more information about the pantry to make sure that families and kiddos understand what that's all about.
Kim, are you still looking for volunteers to help in servicing the Cub Pantry?
Not right now. When
Okay.
I was able to open up to the entire school corporation, and once I did, I was inundated with awesome people wanting to give their time. So now I think we have volunteers all the way through 2017 in the summer. So we're good now.
Great.
This slide basically represents some of the partnerships that I have established. This is by nowhere near close to all of them. I am so blessed to be able to work with so many awesome agencies, and they help so much. The big thing, again, is rent and utility assistance. I get phone calls every single day. I have a family who's trying to avoid eviction, and they have 5 kids or 3 kids. 1 kid's too many to be in it, going through that. But again, these agencies, they help me accomplish those goals and to keep a roof over a child's head. So my heart is overwhelmed with the love that we get from that. Then we have a lot of school, like Web Helping Hands. That's a new project that we're doing this year. We're going to provide a Thanksgiving dinner and some more resources to individuals in the community. And the FCCLA, they work with me every year. They have bake sales. They do all kinds of things to help bring in those funds so that I can help students more. So it's pretty cool.
The grant that you all approved in consent agenda with Webb Elementary, that's what she's referring to when they're going to provide Thanksgiving dinner. The grant is going to pay for the food services with Helping Hands and Kick It.
Yes, it's very cool. Here is some awesome statistics. We all love statistics. This is a comparison of the 2014-15 to the 2015-16 school year. As you can see, it blares at the screen. Franklin Community School Corporation has identified the most homeless students. And again, as good as I think that I do my job, I know that I'm still missing students, whether it be pride issues, whether it be somebody worried about that I'm going to call DCS. We know that these numbers are unreported, but still 321 last school year was the highest that we've seen. Some of you may be asking, why are the other school corporations' numbers so low in comparison to ours? And if you're asking that question, it's a very good question. And one of the answers that I like to tell people is Franklin Community School Corporation is they're out there doing the right thing. And they hired meaning they hired a community outreach coordinator specifically to advocate for homeless students. In the other school corporations, it's an add-on to somebody else's position. And so not to say anything negative, that person, anybody who works in the school is always a very busy person. So when you can't focus your time that you need to focus on advocating for these students, things are going to get missed. And so as you can see, that to me, from talking with the other school corporations, they too are agreeing that because they do not have somebody specifically advocating, that's one of the reasons why their numbers are low. I know Center Grove is working with me right now, and we're to apply for the grant and have a McKinney-Vento liaison that is their specific purpose. And so I would tend to think that these numbers are going to increase drastically when they have somebody doing that. To go from 134 to 1, something's going on there. So, and they are aware of this and they're working on it. But right now, our numbers remain to be the highest. Homeless, these are just another breakdown of homeless students that are identified. First section is their housing status, so that you can quickly see that the majority of our students that are in homeless situations are doubled up. So for those of you that aren't familiar with that term, basically what that means is I become homeless. Dr. Clendenning says, you know what? He doesn't have a roof over her head. I'm going to invite Kim to come and live with me because there's an economic hardship there, something that's causing me a barrier to have my own roof over my head. So, but at any time, Dr. Clendenning gets mad at me and he wants me out of there, he can say, Kim, you're gone. And if that happens, I'm homeless and I don't have a place to call my own. So that's kind of where that definition comes from. And I think that you guys are all tend to agree that in Marion County, homelessness is much more visible. You can see it wherever you go on many street corners. But in Johnson County, it does exist, as you can see by these numbers, but it's much more invisible. And one of those main contributing factors is because of the doubled up numbers. The number of students served, this is, so from the previous slide, I had 321 students identified, but I don't meet with all of those individuals for a litany of reasons. Some people just don't want services, and that's perfectly fine, and I have to respect that. So out of the 321, I did serve 211 families and students of that 321 in some way, shape, or form. But as you can see, there's a big chunk that no help was requested. This is just a short graph of some of the resources that I can provide, and you can see where I give the most help. One of the things that I am proud of is that I was able to assist 27 individuals become gainfully employed, 17 adults, which means a mom or a dad that I helped a student's family become employed, and then 10 students in the high school I was able to help with getting a job. So one of the big aspects that you can see on here is every single family that I work with, regardless if they work with me or not, they all are mailed a community resource packet. This packet is about 20 pages long, and it has everything that you can possibly think of in order to help them. So I'm hoping that even though I'm not touching their life personally, I'm able to do that through this packet, and so they can still get some of the help that they need. Excuse me. These are some of the numbers for the 2015-16 school year for Cub Pantry. The first year that we started the pantry, we were only able to open it up to middle school and high school students, but then things changed and we were able to open it up to everyone. So when that happened, as you can see in the next slide, such a yucky tickle in my throat. Our numbers have already tripled and we're only a few months into the school year. But as of last year, we served 270 families and 1,517 individuals within those families were touched by our food pantry. This year, we're only 3 months in and we're already at 29 families served. So as you can see, I think the first month we were at 126% above where we were last year. So this is already exciting stuff. And the more that we get this information out, we think that we're going to see very, very high numbers by the end of the year. But it's an awesome resource for our families. And one of the things that I will point out is with our pantry, there's no income requirements, there's nothing. So as long as you have a student in the Franklin Community School Corporation, then the families can attend the pantry. So staff, I just recently found out, can attend the pantry. So we do have some staff that have benefited from it. And I can't remember the other one, but I apologize. But again, we know that we're going to see a huge increase in the numbers that we're helping. And this last slide, one of the last slides, is my new endeavors for 2016-2017 school year. I was invited by the beautiful Cheryl Moran for the School Counseling Advisory Committee. So we will be assisting, I will help assist Webb Elementary in becoming certified as a Gold Star in counseling, which I'm very excited about. I've also been asked by the Indiana Department of Education to sit on the McKinney-Vento ESSA Advisory Group, and that stands for Every Student Succeed Act. I almost forgot, I apologize. I'm providing McKinney-Vento training to the Center Grove Resource Officer so that we can expound these services into other school corporations. I'm sitting also on a Bridges Out of Poverty steering committee. I won't go into a lot of detail about that, But basically, in a nutshell, what that means is that I'm sitting on a committee where we're helping identify how to better support individuals in at-risk and poverty situations. So there's classes that can be taken and whatnot in order to help provide forward momentum for these families so they're just not stuck in that rut. For some of you, you may know that I'm also the executive director of KICKIT, Kids in Crisis Intervention Team. And now there's also a new initiative in Johnson County called No Place to Call Home. And this initiative is being driven by United Way, executive director over No Place to Call Home as well. I see your face. Yes, I'm busy. But I'm passionate about what I do, and it's easy, and there's a lot of overlap. So some will say, well, how do you have the time to do all that? Well, there's an extensive amount of overlap. I may get a referral from a student in the school corporation. Well, because I oversee KICKIT and I oversee No Place to Call Home, I'm able to provide all of these other resources for this family because I'm overseeing that. So they're just getting taken care of, like I said, wraparound services for these families. So it's really cool. But those are some of the things that I'm doing in 2016, 2017. And my last one, I thought everybody would like that. Who doesn't like a minion? But I wanted to say, I don't want to cry, so don't take a picture of me. But I don't have big enough words to express my gratitude and appreciation for what the school does for KICKIT. We couldn't do what we do, and we could not service the students that we serviced without your support. And it is unheard of what what Franklin is doing for KICKIT and providing a roof over our head so we can help provide a roof over other individuals in the community. And I'm mind blown of what you guys do for us. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, and for the communities, and they appreciate the exact same thing. So thank you very much, and I'm open to if anybody has any questions. Okay, thank you.
Before you leave, if you don't mind, every time you come, last year and this year, I get moved by what you do. It's incredible, actually. You embody the whole, all of our guiding principles and mission and vision. Thank you very much. It's just amazing what you do.
Thank you very much. I love doing it. I feel very blessed every day. Not many people, I think, can wake up in the morning and really enjoy what they do. And I get to do that. And I can say that. So that's really cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Kim, you do a great job. I know you get a lot of behind the scenes stuff going and not out front very much, but as you thank us, we want to thank you. You're awesome. You've helped a lot of kids and you care immensely. I did encourage her to be able to say no sometimes because as Rayanne was sitting there shaking her head like, how many hours you work? She and I had a conversation about how many hours she's working, and we appreciate you so much. And her husband also is very supportive. Jesse is right there with her along the way. But Kim, you do a phenomenal job. So just thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Mercer, you always follow really great presentations of financial stuff. So let's talk about maybe some utility bills after that.
Exactly. I think it's on purpose.
Yeah.
I'm happy to follow Kim's terrific presentation. Real quickly, this is our third quarter financials, tracking along about where we thought we would be. You might notice here in the general fund category, we have a fairly robust balance, as I mentioned a few moments ago. That will be depleted significantly when we get to the end of the year and we take $1.5 million out to make the mortgage payment due to the circuit breaker. Everything else is actually operating pretty well. You might know Cub Academy, Cub Care, Cub Quest. We continue to show balances there, and while that's not up to the minute, it's pretty close. Those dollars are entrepreneurial pursuits that we've tried to take on to assist Dr. Clendenning and Mrs. Brown-Nally in spending money on things that we really need but probably can't afford in some way. So I would be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank Thank you, Mr. Mercer. You're up again for action items.
We have, this is the third of three presentations moving toward the approval of our budget. This is our Form 4 ordinance resolution for appropriation and tax rates. And this is the time for the formal approval of our 2017 budget. I won't rehash a lot of that information. The $55 million figure is up about $1 million from last year, split somewhat evenly between debt service, general fund increases with additional students and so forth, and I think a little bit of a transportation or bus replacement bump as well. So I am requesting board approval tonight of the 2017 budget. Keep in mind that this $1.93 tax rate is the advertised rate, not the real rate. We anticipate it'll come in much lower than that, as it always does. I don't know how much lower, but hopefully pretty significantly lower. So anyway, I'm here to ask your approval for the 2017 budget.
Motion for approval. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
Thank
passes. Thank you, Mr. Mercer. Discussion items. Mr. Sprout, test security policy.
Thank you very much. Our current test security policy is available via our website, but the last date that it was updated was 2012. So this is an efforts of combining this policy with our current policy. The principals have done an outstanding job, as well as all the schools and teachers, in handling the testing, both online and paper pencil. What this document ultimately does is outline what they've already set up and are currently doing, from making sure the tests are secure, making sure that the school testing coordinator is informed and is providing instruction to everybody that will be touching the test. This is just a document that brings us up to date on our online testing as well as our paper pencil test, and we'll be spending time combining this document with our current policy to bring it forward for approval in the future.
What agency requires that? One guess. Me. All right, I'm moving through. Well, the good news is,
Discussion.
yeah, and the good news is, Mr. Mashbine, you'll get one more chance to sit through Neola policies, because we're getting those scheduled in the next couple of weeks. So this will be one, but the state is really coming down on this. You know, we get several, Deb and Matt and I get several emails almost daily about test security. And so Matt is being very diligent in keeping us on track to make sure we're doing everything correctly.
Does he get daily emails about test security?
It's amazing.
We can forward them on if you'd like.
Yeah. Matt, you can arrange to have it go to their mailbox, Katie. So
thank you, Mr. Sprout. Board administrative comments.
Just a couple of things. One you've already highlighted, but a little more money. But we need to have an executive session. It's that time of year where you all get a chance to evaluate me, and so looking at your calendars, we can either do it in November. It's only a couple weeks left. That's fine. I did send to you my self-evaluation last week. Mr. Vaught was out this week, but he'll be back, and anytime after this week he can meet. So if you want to look at your calendars, Natalie will email you tomorrow, or we can do it now. If you want to do it, like I said, we can do November the 11th, 8th, whatever next November board meeting. That's one possibility, but that fits your schedule. That's probably the most convenient. It'd be the
Talking about the
14th.
Yeah, the evening of the board meeting and executive session. For
Unless we need it before then.
We don't. I mean, it's up to you guys.
I'm fine.
Is an hour long enough to
I
beat
sure
you
hope
up?
so.
I mean, praise you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that'll be good.
Okay, so we'll do it before, and then unless something changes, then we'll.
Okay, can we do it like at 5:45? That'll give us a time to give you guys quiet, time to share, and then I know we can have maybe something light to eat during that time.
We'll need to move the music council.
Music Council will need to, we'll evaluate that. Yeah, review that. Okay.
I just wanted, I meant to do this when I was talking about the calendar. Jason Scott is here tonight, and Christy also served on that committee, so I just wanted to recognize them. Jason was a parent volunteer, along with Amanda Martin was our second parent volunteer. So just thank you in public for serving on our committee.
Although the election is a few days away, as you know, all the races are uncontested. Mr. Lamb is here. We will be getting with Mr. Lamb to do a conversation about board orientation over the next couple of weeks. And if anybody else wants to sit in, please let me know. You're more than welcome to do that. But we'll get with Andy, and he'll take over for Mr. Mashmeyer's position in January.
Oh, the agenda. I sometimes don't. All right. Any other board comments? All right. Time for public comments. We get time for any comments. Seeing none.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you.